Hey, so I'm changing up the camera setup a little bit this time because exporting takes a lot of time. But thanks for being here. I'm Yunny, and this is Yunny Demos. It's a series where I share the process of building a art studio from scratch. And this week had a couple of new themes. I was really tested and I was really testing. So there was a lot of thinking about recommitting to the vision. What is the vision? Making sure I'm on par and acting aligned with this, and making sure my habits were in line. And a lot of it was not. I needed to make better decisions that made me feel like I was making the progress I wanted to make. So that's what this is about, and I hope you enjoy. All right, so this week has been quite a bit of kind of all over the place a little bit. I had gone to a few events related to config, and it's a design conference for product designers and developers and product managers. So much of my time was going out and meeting people. I also met some people through this program called the Creative Lunch, and it's this thing where every month you get served a few creatives in your town, and you are to meet with them and just have lunch and just share, talk shop, or just connect. So I got to doing that and presented my prototype to them. So it's a prototype that I shared last week, but I shared it with people. Does it make sense or not? And then I shared it with people without giving them any pretext. What I learned is that the idea is very exciting if I explain it. So if they're discovering it on their own, it's a little bit confusing. There are ways to improve that coherence. So that's why we prototype, that's why we test. So that's fun. Another thing is a lot of boundaries. So let's get into it. I focused a lot on setting boundaries on my time and my energy. So saying no to things at work, being okay with killing off a project or killing off a task in order to invest my energy in something more important. So I took a hard look at my priorities and if I was living to that, if I was honoring that. So boundaries, validation, and reinvesting has been themes of this week. So there's that, and like recharging. I was burning myself out and I took some time to recharge and get in touch with my priorities again. Education. I invested a couple of books that will help the next project I'm working on. Bless. Maintaining systems, recommitting the path. So those are the themes. Let's get into it. There's a couple of notes. It's kind of a hodgepodge. This is what it looks like when I'm writing for myself, but now I'm sharing it for you to see. So become one with infinite love. That's something that I would love to become. Being in touch with that. Seeing Signs series, remakes of Signs to be loving. The love, of course, is one of my key values, so naturally some project ideas come up that follow that. These two are notes for work. I have a notifications project coming up, so what is a notification that can change me for the better? What does the highest form of care look like, feel like, sound like? Speculative design and 6-page memo of findings, storytell for group empathy. So these are just notes for myself of how to optimize that project. so that people are on board, and it is a exciting learning experience for me. So I like to structure my projects under a question. Okay, so here, what is this? Leading questions. What do you want baby girl to know? Is it the scariest part, but is it true and linked to light? So I'm thinking about my projects, and one of the projects is has to do with a daughter and letters to a daughter. So those are themes. So I had a thought that came through that says, "Dear baby girl, Mama didn't wear makeup at the wedding. Her complexion came from taking care of her health herself, and you don't need to either." So just brainstorming some ideas. Let's see if more comes out of that. Let's see. I'll read this one next. So this one's about the boundaries I mentioned. I was coming to terms with the idea that when you reinforce boundaries or you set new boundaries, someone's going to be upset. Maybe someone who benefited from the previous way of working. And as someone who prizes harmony, this was really tough for me to grasp. This is something that weighed on me. So finally, at some point, I was like, put the paper in the typewriter, let's spit it all out. And this is what came out of it. So it reads, "When you change, there will be people resisting. Not because they hate you, but because you're going forward reminds them that they are not. It's comfortable to see you as stagnant, oftentimes in positions where they have power over you. Oddly, your progress and new ways of working, new rules about tolerance and boundaries will trigger them. But those bad vibes are temporary. They cannot fault someone for putting their own welfare over theirs, as they are also guilty of prioritizing themselves and their own. Shake it off. Those who love you get it. You are a person who loves to grow. You still fight to support your own. Nothing personal. Let it go. Breathe in the good and breathe out the bad. Time is too precious. As the writer of your own story, what do you want your character to be? I'm not trying to live life. I'm just trying to live life and pull up for my family." Soren. This is a song by Bazzi. But yeah, I felt a lot better after spitting that out. Yeah, art is my therapy. So next we're gonna hit the recommitting my path. And so I was realizing that a lot of the decisions I was making, for example, how I spend my time, wasn't ranked in the same way that I said my priorities were. So when that happens, that misalignment happens, you start to feel tension where you feel like you're not doing enough. You feel like there's just so much to do, the overwhelm comes through. But when you get aligned with your behavior and your priorities, then it's very clear that you're making progress. You're working towards those goals and you're putting your time into something that matters to you. So here's just a list of things that I need to focus on to make sure I'm committing to those priorities. And that means basically a glow up. Like, start showing up for yourself, be selfish about protecting your peace, set boundaries, be private, say no where you need to, stay true, evolve unapologetically, refuse to accept negativity, don't try to match energy, vibe with yourself, smile often for no reason, and trust the process. So that's thanks to Pinterest. Let's see. So I saw something online called the Odyssey Plan, where you basically do this Design Your Life. It's by the people who wrote Design Your Life. Two professors at Stanford who kind of run the D School. But they have this exercise where it's called the Odyssey Plan, where you imagine your life 3 to 5 years from now where you stay the current path. And then the second exercise, you think 3 to 5 years from now if you took a completely different path from your current path. So imagine those two. And then 3 to 5 years from now, imagine yourself if you didn't care what people thought and you didn't care about money. What would you be doing? And I found myself really excited about the last category, of course. And I wrote things like more privacy. I really prize my quiet time, so I need to figure out how to honor that. Vibes kept in the inner circle, pipelines into art. Whenever I express things, it is showcased through my work, and people will get that. But it is spacious. Because I have already given myself what I needed, I don't take as much space when I create. So I would love to create that space through my work. So that means I need to do a better job of taking care of myself. I want to stay connected with the world. I want time to feel slow. I want to be confident in my skills and my ideas in a way that it operating as if I have something valuable to pass on. I think sometimes I second guess if what I'm creating is worth it or valuable for another person. But I have to proceed as if this is the fact that I have something valuable, and it will be. Let's see. What other notes? Thinketh in your heart, and so it is, without ego and pretense. I love Female Poet Society on Instagram. Physicality matters less than power of the mind. What does it take to be a woman of infinite love? I found some greats. I found some quotes that are guiding for this next chapter. Felicia Rashid, she says, the measure of excellence is judged by your commitment to your work. Give yourself completely. An artful life is ready for you to make it art. May not be Felicia Rashid, but being in your own story, being your story, basically. So whatever story you want to live it. Like, just create your own reality, basically. Toni Morrison, Maya Angelou. This quote from the stylist that I found called Law Roach. He is the stylist that put that works really closely with Zendaya. So if you've seen Zendaya's iconic outfits, then more likely than not, she was working with Law Roach to make it a reality. But this quote I love: "You can become that bitch." Whoops, sorry. This is a clean channel. Can become that person when you really don't give a blank about what anybody has to say about you. It's really the power and finding out the I don't give a F. So I'm learning how to channel that energy. I think sometimes I care too much. And I think that's normal. It's normal to be empathetic. But there are moments where you need to protect yourself so that you can keep your energy pure. And I'm learning how to make that energy ball around me so I stay in my power. Annie Leibovitz, I'm sorry, I'm butchering these names, but she is a legendary photographer that works with the greats, and I got a peek into her process, and she has everything thought out for a shoot. The angles, the composition, the lighting even. She has people set up to move things in a certain way already before she even gets to the shoot. So I took note that have it thought out and very gracious. Anything to get the vision. Sometimes I compromise for the vision, but really, like, if you got a vision in your head, you gotta try your best to execute that, even if it means doing something ridiculous. We're at 14 minutes. This is a funny one. I changed the bathroom curtain, and it was too long, so I cut it, and I finally got to taking a bath this week. It's been a while, self-care. But here are some thoughts that came from it. Writing, June 28, bathtub. Onion and garlic paper with onion and garlic seeds. Plastic shower curtain cut turns out to be the perfect canvas. Do I have a higher calling? Is that a selfish thought? I haven't had me time in a long time. 11 p.m. bath on a Friday night. Sometimes I think I'm trying too hard. My younger self would be mad to see I've stopped my practice of honoring the mundane. Thought number 7. Take 2 pictures of moments. One in your head, live it, and one in your camera. Number 8, and the final one. The story of things. The story of my glorious imperfections. More bats. Love me to me. So I think I was just having some thoughts there. Honest thoughts in a very vulnerable setting. So that is it for the papers. The last thing I made was a painting. Maybe I can share also like the things I got from the bookstore. So this next chapter is very much about writing and understanding my culture. So I got some things from City Lights bookstore, and I got some things from this place called On Waver in Chinatown, and they're basically expanding my Asian art vocabulary and understanding. So these are 2 Asian artists, or Asian poets, who are writing. This cover was actually made by Ai Weiwei, which is awesome. Ai Weiwei is the one that wrote this book, and he's an internationally acclaimed artist, and it's a riveting book. But these are awesome. These are poets. This one is post-Mao, which is interesting for me as I'm exploring that history. These are classics that I've always wanted to read. So this is The Art of War by Sun Tzu, and this is Tao Te Ching by Lao Tzu. This one's on Taoism, and apparently these are canon. Walker's Map. I want to walk for many hours when I eventually hit a sabbatical, so this would be cool to explore. And then lastly is by Thich Nhat Hanh. He is a spiritual teacher. He passed away. Zen Buddhist monk, very famous. Built a base in Paris. But this is a collection of his poems. I wanted to expand my poetry knowledge and my poetry tastes. So I wanted to bring stuff in, and that is my education. Okay, so the last thing I'm sharing, this is a little off the cuff. Let's see if it works. Okay, we're in good position right now. So the last thing I'm going to share is this painting that I did. I wanted to make a painting, and I just decided to just do it, finally. And this is what came out. This is called Generational Healing. I wrote a note here. It says, meaning is created when we are committed to care, despite suffering. And then I realized that suffering is not the right word for it, but ego. Despite ego. Love, Yunny. I hope you can see it. Yeah, there's a lot of mediums that came through here. I used acrylic paint. There is some pastel underneath. There is Sharpie of different thicknesses. There is paper that I made from recycled paper. And I used a flame. And I used a hair blow dryer. Yeah, that is it. Thank you for being here. It's a pleasure to share the process and be honest about the challenges that are going on. I will be out of town next week, so I may not post a demo video for the sake of being present and enjoying my time with my brother. So you will miss me next week, but I will try to catch some footage of the adventures in the Big Apple. And I hope you have a great 4th of July. Spend time with family, and I think that's it. Thanks. Bye. See you next week. Oh, the camera's over here on the camera.